Hi, Pedro. Welcome back. We just had a great session discussion this morning, and we definitely want to hear a little bit more from you and also the audience from the internet. You worked across different areas of advanced therapies, from gene therapy and now to the cell therapy. What first pulled you into this field, and what keeps you excited about it?
Yeah, I'm interested in all large molecules, and I'm really passionate about solving very difficult technical challenges. As you know from your experience and mine, there are a lot of problems to solve, and I think getting more effective treatments to patients is really the mission at heart for me and what drives me. And so working on gene therapy and cell therapy, I think, are the next big modalities, and lots of great technical challenges to solve to bring more treatments to more patients. And cell therapy is just, I have to check it off the box, right? So I've done biologics, vaccines, gene therapy, and now cell therapy. I have to touch all the large molecule modalities.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Since we're not talking about the cell therapy, for those who may not know, can you tell us a little bit more on what is your current work and what is Blue Whale is doing right now?
Yeah, so Blue Whale Bio is a startup that's spun out of UPenn, started by Jim Riley and Carl June. It's basically what we're calling the next generation of T-cell activation. So it's cell-derived nanoparticles to activate and expand T-cells. So it is a reagent company, not really a clinical therapy company, although to prove the benefits of our technology, we're sponsoring clinical trials, obviously, to get the data and show the improvements in efficacy of our products. So we believe that the way we manufacture cell-derived nanoparticles for T-cell activation is transferable across all immune activation and potentially stem cell activation. So right now we're starting with one product for CAR-Ts, but we have ambitions and interest in going into TILs, AIMS, B-cell, iPSCs, and we believe that our technology is a good platform to help solve all of these very difficult problems with these kind of treatments.
Now that you have the experience from both gene therapy and cell therapy, what's your thoughts comparing both, or what's your takeaway so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think they all have, like I said, big challenges to overcome. I think with cell therapy, one of the advantage, I would say, is having clinical translation centers across the United States gives us a lot of opportunity to actually experiment in phase 1 clinical trials, to really do and try new things. Whereas in gene therapy, we can't really sponsor a clinical trial in a clinical translation center. We have to fully fund and file for a clinical trial. We can do a 4-patient clinical trial at a clinical translation center very quickly. So if you want to do a 2 arms, it's cheaper, it's a little bit faster with a sponsored PI that will sponsor a CAR that they designed or a tumor they want to target. I think that is one advantage I've seen for cell therapy.
Yeah, definitely. This year, actually, we do have a specific session on the individual IP-sponsored clinical trial tomorrow in the cell therapy. Yeah. So to your point, it's really what is happening right now in the field. Yeah. I guess now we talked a little bit about the challenges, and what would you considering as the biggest changes that we need to do in the field to make it really moving forward for this field?
Yeah, the way I think of what the biggest challenges for CAR-T or just cell therapy today is manufacturing it faster to the target dose for very sick patients. So you're taking cells out of very sick patients, trying to engineer them and expand them and grow them. So the current technology, I think, leaves a lot on the table, meaning the current technology for activating CAR-Ts is sometimes has patients that won't expand. They're just too sick, or they have too few T cells. So you can't make a clinical dose for them. So what do? You have to give it to them for free, you don't get reimbursed, or sometimes you can't even give them treatment. We're also seeing a lot of refractory patients, meaning patients that have been treated and then relapse a year or 6 months later. So we think that CAR-T is proven to be effective, but it may not be optimized because we don't believe you're activating T cells in the most immunological friendly way. And we think that with our new technology, we can do that. So that means the failed to expand patients, we'll be able to expand them. We believe we can reduce refractory because we have longer durability and more antigen amplification with our technology. So we think modifying, a lot of people don't think activation is the problem in cell therapy. We think it is one of the primary problems, and until we prove it, and this is a challenge for Blue Whale, until we prove to people why we're so much better, it's hard for them to even know that they have a problem. Because it does work for 50% of the patients, and they don't relapse, and they're fully cured. But what happened to the other 50%? The ones that failed to expand, that had too low T cells in manufacturing, or that had a refractory case. We want to help those patients also. We don't want to just, cure half. We want to cure all.
Yeah, definitely. I think also echoing what Dr. Peter Marks just said this morning, the balancing between innovation versus the platform process for more accessibility. It's always a topic on that. Yeah. I guess coming back another year to the SAPA conference, last time you were at the AC, the annual conference, and this year back as a speaker for the cell and gene therapy conference. What's your feeling so far?
I think the industry is going through an inflection point. I think we're all seeing that there's a lot more innovation required to really fully maximize the utilization of gene and cell therapy. I think the big trends are the agencies are becoming more friendly. They're more open to less rigor for early phase 1 clinical trials, and they're more amenable to you being creative in your phase 1 clinical trial design and trying stuff. They'll have the conversations, they'll negotiate of sorts for phase 1. I think post phase 1, the rigors still all exist, but I think entry in for a phase 1 gene therapy and cell therapy is becoming a lot more attainable for a lot of earlier technology companies. And I think we'll see a lot more movement there. But I still think to solve all the major problems that come in late stage with the cost of goods, clinical efficacy, you still have to solve the biggest problems, right? So I think that's what's happening. The companies that continue to invest are growing their capabilities and their understanding of their technology, and they'll continue to be the people in the lead.
Definitely, yeah. And now that we are in Philadelphia, the birthplace of the cell and gene therapy, and observing a lot of new funding coming in and big pharma are coming in as well, that's definitely very promising to all the people around this region. And as Blue Whale, also a startup in the field, how do you feeling or anticipating about this trend?
Yeah, I think cell and gene therapy had its peak probably in Philly a couple years ago. But I think seeing how Blue Whale is spinning out, seeing other in vivo gene therapy, in vivo cell therapy companies start here in Philly and have been acquired or are still in operation, I think shows you that there's still an appetite in investors to put money into technologies and new ways of exploring the modality. Meaning in vivo is very attractive. TILs is becoming very attractive even in the area. iPSCs, Century pivoting now to iPSCs from NK cell therapies. Their companies are refocusing in new opportunities, I would say. But it still suggests that there's funding and an appetite in the Philly area for cell and gene therapy investment.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. As our final question to wrap up the interview today, for people who are early in their career right now, looking for moving into this field or want to having a similar path like you do, what would be your suggestion?
I say take the opportunities to learn as many tools or skills and assays, methods, manufacturing as you can, and learn how to market those skills. And then that's how you get entry into your job. And then when you're in a job, it's learn as many different tools and skills and put those tools on your belt. And then that's what you can offer your employer. But know how to market those opportunities. I think what I see in a lot of younger scientists and engineers is they have skills. You can see it on their resume, but they don't know how to actually market them, and they don't know how to market their opportunity to translate them. And that's what I would encourage. Think of what you trained in undergrad and what skills you have for analytical data, designing experiments, executing experiments, what your value propositions are, what methods and technologies have you touched and you're familiar with, what can you be trained in, what are you interested in, and then learn to translate that into a skill set and how that tool and skill set will translate to your employer. And that's how I would encourage younger people to really think about their career.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you for all the good advice and also the insight for today's interview. Thank you so much, Pedro.
Thank you.
Yeah.